So what is a storm? It's the thunder of 75,000 fans. It's lightning striking without warning. The earth shaking beneath your feet. It's more than a force of nature. It's a reckoning. So what is the storm? We are the storm.
What the fuck up, Charger fans? Let's get it! What is going on, Charger fans? Welcome everybody onto the Week 1 preview of Chargers Syndicate with my good friend, my homie, even when we are divided in these kinds of games. Because you know what time it is. It is Rivalry Week. The first step into the change of this culture. The Harbaugh era has begun. I'm excited about this one, as should all of you. Welcome on to Charger Syndicate, everybody. If you guys haven't done so already here up and on this channel, that is specifically for everything you need to know for all of your LA Chargers news, rumors, game recaps, and so much more. I encourage you guys to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep you up to date on future and past videos. We've also have right now too, so a few announcements before we bring on our guest. We've got a brand new IG page. Go and follow it, Charger Syndicate, and also our X page as well on Charger Syndicate as well. That is at LAC Syndicate. Definitely show some love there on all of our social medias. We're getting bigger and better than ever. And also, I have been appointed and I have been summoned to be a part of this year's AFC Roundtable, representing our Chargers, representing the Syndicate family as a whole, to be defending and to be showcasing LA Chargers content as well for the Chargers Syndicate and for the Roundtable Sports as well for the AFC Roundtable. So joining us, we know in Rivalry Week, it's hard enough as it is. But one of my good friends, one of my homies, one of the best content creators I know when it comes to Raiders content, definitely check him out at Hammer's House. My boy Hammer in the building.
I feel like right now I'm about to put on the shoulder pads once again, put a helmet on, and run through a wall for AP. Like, I am in fight mode right now. You're lucky. You're lucky I'm here right now.
Hey, same to me, bro. I'm ready to go to war. They call this game the trench warfare game. So this is gonna be fun, man. The Jim Harbaugh era in the Chargers organization has officially begun. And as we know, no longer interim, now a full-time head coach for Antonio Pierce. I'm excited about this matchup, man. I mean, from all the years of just instilling this rivalry for as long as it's gone on, and all the way up into this point where the NFL is officially back, bro. I can't say it enough, man. I can't stress it enough. This season is this particular matchup in this season, man, is going to be one for the history books.
We already know that going into this matchup, it's of epic proportions just due to the fact that Week 1 is starting with AFC West rivals. At the same time, new eras, new regimes for both organizations. We love what we have right now in regards to AP and Tom Telesco. We love the energy that has been brought back. Like AP has brought life back into the Raiders organization. That old school, historical, knock your dick in the dirt, no fucks given, take no prisoners type of attitude. That relentlessness, something which is the reason I became a Raider fan in the first place. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Harbaugh back in the NFL. Cool story, bro. We already kind of have an idea of what he's trying to bring in regards to this offensive scheme for the Chargers organization. He took two guys, former Baltimore Ravens, and J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. We know he's going to want to try to run the ball. We have a completely different defensive line, a revamped, a retooled defensive line with the addition of Christian Wilkins. Of course, we got Maxx. We got the news earlier this afternoon that Malcolm Kuntz is out. It's okay. Next man up mentality. You got J-Rob. You got Tyree Wilson. Our linebacking room is set. Our secondary, forget about it. We're going to shut these guys down. We've seen your receiving room. Not impressed. Offensive line, Joe Alt, you're going to have a field day. You're going to be in for a field day against Crosby because Crosby's going to welcome you to the league and welcome you to the league proper, my guy.
I mean, at the end of the day, I know you're giving me at least a preview of what I should expect in the AFC roundtable, and nonetheless. But here's the thing. I've been in the black hole multiple times, and I've come out of the black hole like Thor. Coming out, lightning strikes, ready to fight, ready to go to war. Because you know what? I'm going to be bringing it up here up on the Charger Syndicate as well. But Jim Harbaugh had a lot of words to say, especially when it came to blue-collar mentality. Because this is something that this organization has not had in a long time since, God rest his soul, the late, great Marty Schottenheimer. And so it's finally good to, at the very least, feel confident about this team as a whole, but feel very confident about what but feeling confident for the way the direction of the future is going to look like for the Chargers as a whole. So, and even when I look at our opponent with the Las Vegas Raiders, yeah, my hometown, all the rest of it. Again, the only thing that I could basically see out of these shades was all that silver and lac dust blowing all everywhere. That's why, thank God, y'all got at least a giant Roomba over there to clean up all that mess that you guys keep throwing around. But aside from all the jokes, this is honestly, and this is what I was trying to kind of get a point at the last time kind of doing this, is that I do feel this matchup becoming trench warfare because it's a test of each other's strengths and each other's mentalities at the end of the day. Because we know AP, with what he's bringing to the table, which I'm really excited for, because this is something that the Raiders have needed for a very long time, where they've needed attitude. They're not a systematic organization. They never have been. They've trusted with their players, their coaching staff, that as long as you've got the grit and grind mentality, anything is possible. And it's what this organization has been built off of. So when you think about it, this is not going to be one of those, like everybody that's been poking me for at least this past week and this week, and even in the past few months, do we think that this is honestly going to be a 63 burger like last time? I don't see it being that way. I honestly do see this being trench warfare. Things are going to get tested. And I honestly do believe that we're going to get an exciting game at the end of it in week 1.
I definitely think so as well. But at the same time, SoFi plays a part in this. It has been a low-scoring affair between these two teams every single time they play in SoFi for whatever strange-ass reason. I gave my prediction a couple nights ago. Do I think it's going to be a close game? In a sense, yes. Do I think it's going to be an incredibly competitive game? Mm-hmm. Yes. And we both have agreed to this, that it is going to be won ultimately in the trenches. Again, with this new scheme of Harbaugh taking over, Herbert's your guy's quarterback. Curious to know really intrigued to know how he feels like, dude, you ain't going to be passing the ball as much as you normally were before. You guys are going to be relying on that run, and then hit that panic button when the run game is being stopped and then attempt to pass it. Who's going to be there? Orion Bennett, Jack, Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Merrick, Marcus Epps. Yeah.
Honestly, though, I mean, I'm ready to test that Raiders defense because we know last year, Antonio Pierce coming in as the interim coach, the defense was definitely invested for the Raiders. I mean, giving up 17 points per opponent is something that's very well impressive. And, at the same time, because I think about this, like everybody's looking for that DeMeco Ryans effect. The fact that you're getting a player type coach, a guy who has been there, who's done that, and somebody that's familiarized with the organization. Now, of course, with Antonio Pierce, loved watching him in his days with the New York Giants and what he's been able to do, especially with a Super Bowl caliber team like that on defense. But the fact that he's bringing that same similar mentality to the Raiders, as I think, is something that's very, very special for everybody in the Raiders organization and in the Raiders fan base. But my thing about the Chargers is that we've addressed what's different about this because we talked about this before when we talked about, Tom Telesco now being the new GM of the Las Vegas Raiders. And what we've dealt with in the past is that the difference with Tom Telesco and the difference with Joe Ortiz is that Telesco, in some of those ways with the Chargers, he was able to find talent when it is out there, which is very confident. But there was a part of it that when it came to the reserves and when it came to quality backups and guys that can come in and play their role and be strong in those positions was something that I think was a little bit shaky. Now, we know he's probably learned this by now since no longer being with the Chargers after getting fired along with Brandon Staley. So maybe he has learned that since being fired and now being hired with the Raiders. So hopefully he could turn this thing around with this organization because, I mean, Hammer, I'll be honest with you, dude. When was the last time ever having at least a type of GM that is capable of finding talent, is capable of putting together a squad that we know could be the essence and the change for this organization moving forward, right?
It's been a while for us. Like our front office really have not been the brightest crayons in the box. Last time around, we had Ziegler. And it really wasn't on Ziegler. It was more McDaniels. McDaniels was a guy that was a dictator. And I think it was clear as day throughout the entire organization with a lot of the shit that he did. Look, Ziegler was that one guy in the front office that wanted CJ Stroud. McDaniels said no. And here we are, set back another 3 years as a result of McDaniels and Ziegler's ridiculous decision-making in terms of large money contracts. I still don't know where we stand in regards to Chandler Jones and his money. You gave these other guys bags in Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Waller, Renfrow, and Carr, and then you ship them out. Go and take a chance on a guy that you were familiar with in terms of Jimmy Garoppolo. How did that pan out? It was a complete shit show under that regime. And Telesco, look, he had a lot of tenure with the LA Chargers. He had the proven experience.
Yep.
Good with it. I'm good with it. And I think with this, the collective work that he's doing right now with AP and with the rest of the coaching staff, they were the ones that came together and made the conscious decisions in terms of our draft needs and the draft picks that we made. Did we get a quarterback of the future? No. But we have a guy right now in Gardner Minshew with plenty of experience. He's played for 3 other teams as a backup. That's cool. Numbers aren't bad. His touchdown to turnover ratio is not bad. And he's mobile when he needs to be mobile. I'm incredibly excited to see what Getsy's offense is going to do. I'm looking forward to this offensive line. We know JPJ is out right now. He's battling an illness. We know he's been playing catch-up for the last couple of weeks, coming off of the injuries during the offseason and throughout training camp and preseason. But think if our line holds their own, our offensive line holds their own, anything's possible.
Yeah. And, and I think about it because I let's get into at least with the injury report, because at the end of the day, we finally have a full report. We're ready to go up on Sunday. So there are some takeaways, and I was tuned in to Wasted's live stream earlier and just kind of seeing the injury report, knowing that now Malcolm Kuntz is listed as out. So kind of seeing this with the full injury report. We'll start with the Raiders here. So as of right now, the long snapper, he's basically been a full go with the abdomen. Brock Bowers was basically limited from Wednesday and Thursday, but was at a full go. So it seems to me we'll get a chance to see Brock Bowers in his first official NFL game, which I'm excited for, honestly. That I think, at the end of the day, I just can't wait to see one of the best, college prospects at his position, really kind of see how he performs at the NFL level. Tommy Eichenberg, though, was limited all in those 3 days, so he's listed as questionable. What's been the latest status with Tommy Eichenberg, before moving forward with the injury report?
It's been a little bit of everything with Eichenberg, from what you can see here. So in this injury report, it shows that he was dealing with a knee injury. He had missed a preseason, battling a foot injury. So I'm not sure at this point in time the severities. I have not spoken to my people inside the building, but now it's another injury. Like, we need this guy, though, and this was a guy that AP was incredibly high on. We just need him to heal, and he's going to be another one of those guys right now that's going to be in the rotation amongst the linebackers. So we need to get him healthy and ready to go as soon as possible.
Yeah, like I said, man, I think because I loved watching Eichenberg in Ohio State. I think hopefully we'll see what happens from there. But it seems to me that, like, with the linebacking position and the defensive ends, it kind of looks a little bit shaky in some areas. But I mean, with no Malcolm Kuntz, that's going to be a little bit of a difference maker from there. But still, I mean, with Maxx Crosby and with Christian Wilkins, that is obviously going to be the difference maker for the Raiders on the defensive side. The three that are out, though, Malcolm Kuntz is one of them. Jackson Powers-Johnson, he's out. And same with DeCamerion Richardson. So, and then the rest of the other three from Robert Spillane, Tyree Wilson, and Colton Miller, they'll be a full go. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to be next man up mentality in some of these areas, or at least for those holes, mostly up on defense. But I think, honestly, when it comes to the Chargers, because ultimately the way that this roster has been set is that what Greg Roman has been known to do for years and years is he's known to basically play a spread offense type, with the fact of having 7 wide receivers to start with on the 53-man roster. He's known for basically spreading the ball over, not only just having an efficient run game, but he wants to spread the ball out to where the Chargers can initially get points. Start off, get points on the board, run the clock, and keep possession on your side to where you're testing a lot of that defensive line of the Raiders. You're testing out more of that midfield from the linebacking position, because initially I like the pieces that you do have up on the secondary with Epps and Hobbs and even with Trayvon Merrick and a couple others. But I do believe that with Justin Herbert, that he will find those holes possible, because the one quality trait that Justin Herbert does have is that he has the ability and the capability of throwing the ball in the right places for these receivers to go and get. Now, I know for a lot of people it's brand new. It's a new receiving core that we're not used to seeing, but it'll bring up a couple points that I have up on there. But for the Raiders side, everybody seems to be a full go except for Kuntz, JPJ, and with Richardson, and then a questionable Eichenberg as well, seeing as how he'll feel come Sunday against the Chargers. But on the Chargers side, with the injury report, I know I had gotten the initial report that Asante Samuel Jr. had tweaked something on his shoulder, so he was limited in practice today. But hopefully, we get news back tomorrow that it is not something serious. I do kind of see this as being a game time decision for Asante Samuel, but we do have Christian Fulton. We do have multiple others to be filling in these spots. Tarheeb still was limited in the 2 days on Wednesday and Thursday, but was at a full practice. He's questionable. I see him as a game time decision. And Herbert, the foot seems to be 110%. He was at full practice. And then with Josh Palmer only taking the day off, full practice, he'll be ready to go. But the only person that's out is DJ Chark. So when you think about it with this wide receiving core, I mean, what is kind of the expectation that the defense really is trying to plan out and how Antonio Pierce really looks to attack this?
The best way to even remotely explain that depth chart that is of the LA Chargers is this.
Who the fuck is that guy?
And it goes down majority of the list because we really don't know who half of these guys are. And when it comes to Asante Samuel, now all of a sudden on Friday, he's questionable with a shoulder injury. Running scared from Tay. All that shit you guys are talking about, Pop-Tarts and this, that, and the third. And now you're questionable? Bruh. Come on, man.
I mean, hey, the thing I look at it with this, even if you tweak that shoulder, the difference of it is that what a lot of people don't realize, this is not the similar kinds of sustained injuries that we were so used to in the past. With having one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the country with Ben Herbert, these are going to be the kinds that are ones that build the stronger athlete. So, yes, we know that, injuries are something that we're kind of skeptical about at the end of the day. But if these guys come out, and this is where I'm expecting this tomorrow, but if we get positive news, and I'm hypothetically speaking this, Asante Samuel comes out and says, you know what? I tweaked it a little bit, but I'm good. I ain't missing this for the world. I think we'd be good. I think at the end of the day, he wants to fight because he knows that this is rivalry week. There's no excuses to not even show up. And at the same time, it's full go. This is blue collar mentality at the end of the day. So I think the Chargers in this regard, we know that the defense looks different. We know that some parts of this offense looks different. But I think this is a good feeling for all of us Charger fans at the end of the day because we want to see, has Jim Harbaugh lost a step? To me personally, I think he's honestly kept up with today's NFL because he's watching from a lot of these things from the outside looking in before he even took this job. He's seeing with the competition that's in front of him, including our freaking rival matchup, the Kansas City Chiefs last night, from what Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid is capable of doing. That's something that you and I have gone back and forth of, that this is a team we strongly hate. And we strongly want to put up the most points against that damn team. So, but at the end of the day, there's plenty of time. This is the first step in the first week. And I think, honestly, the Chargers are ready for the competition because we've had this game burning in the back of our minds since you guys basically beating us with a hockey stick at quarterback, which apparently everybody seems to be proud of with the Raiders fan base. So I'm just okay, you guys want to be proud with beating a hockey stick? All right. I just say that when it comes to Herbert, that game would not happen. But everybody on our sideline, and you saw this too, we all gave up because we didn't want an idiot for a head coach. So y'all did us a favor. You got that idiot out of the building. And yes, we give you Tom Telesco as a GM, but you gave us something back in return. You finally gave us a capable coach that is willing to go toe-to-toe and is willing to go to war on a trench warfare, and especially in a week one matchup against the Raiders.
Is he really capable though? Or is he going to be stuck in his ways of the past when he was a head coach in the NFL a long time ago? Game has changed. The game has changed. It's a hell of a lot more of a pass-friendly league than it was when he was with the Niners. We're trying to rely on that run game is only going to get you so far. So, like I said, I'm very intrigued for this matchup. I would love to ruin his homecoming and his return to the NFL. I'm here for it, man.
I'm excited for this because you know how strong the rivalry is. I would just love to be, and you know me, obviously going on vacation this up and coming week, but nothing will make me happier than to be being up on a plane, touching down in Finn's country in Miami, and just going and sipping on one of the best specialty drinks for the victory against those haters. Nothing will make me happier than that. The fact of having that burned in the back of my head and then to have to bring it back to you, no Diddy, no Vaseline, bro. I'm excited about that because we got a lot to really speak for in this game.
And when you hold that L come Sunday evening, what's that drink going to be in Miami then?
I don't know. I mean, at the end of it, hey, whether I make it a Bloody Mary because it's going to be a bloodbath at the end of the day, it's going to be something red. That whole field is going to be covered in nothing but red, bro. So, yeah, we'll see who the last man standing is going to be at the end of the day. But the funny thing of it is, and I want to break down because we've done this with, the positions. Obviously, when we look at the quarterback position, I'm curious of how Gardner Minshew is going to be when it comes to the offensive fluidity. Because the fact of moving on from an offensive coordinator that, like, the thing is that I love Davante Adams. Don't get me wrong. But I see the writing on the wall when Davante, he's not getting the expected throws that he's always been known for since he'd been in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. And that becomes frustrating for any star wide receiver. You know what I mean? And so when I think about this with Luke Getsy, and Getsy is a big-time dual tight end threat. He loves his dual tight ends with Bowers and even with Michael Mayer. I just am looking at this offensive fluidity, and I don't know what I'm going to get with Gardner Minshew. I mean, am I going to get something he picked off of from Shane Steichen's offense in Indianapolis? Or is this going to be something where it's going to be nothing but constant adjustment in-game situations?
I don't think so. I really don't. We see what, again, we went through the preseason. The offensive scheme was very vanilla. We're not going to show our hand. And I've been saying this from the jump. I'm intrigued to see what Getsy has up his sleeve in terms of this offense. Plenty of weapons. You got Tay, you got Jacoby Myers, you got Brock, you got Michael Mayer, you got Trey Tucker. You have in the backfield, you have Madison, you have Zeus, you have the Juice Box, you got Amir Abdullah. Like, anything is possible when it comes to Brock, the Swiss Army knife that he is. We did see this a couple times during the preseason. You had him lined up in the backfield as a fullback. You can put him there in the slot. He can do it all, and I'm here for it. And as it pertains to Davante Adams, I'm so sick of people talking about his numbers since he's been here. Year one, Derek Carr, 1,516 yards, 14 touchdowns. Last year, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. It really has not fallen off. It really has not fallen off. If you look at a lot of his numbers throughout his career in Green Bay, a lot of times well under 1,000 yards. And I'm talking like 800-900 yards. So everybody's got to stop with that shit.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, it just proves that like Davante Adams could work with anybody, like at the end of the day. But the only thing that I know that could be a question and concern is those clutch moments that you know that you need to execute. I think that does become a frustrating part for anybody and for any player and for any team. Because if you don't end up executing up on those plays, that gets very frustrating. And then that's when the tone in the locker room becomes turmoil.
You don't have a quarterback that's afraid to get hit right now like we did in Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't have a quarterback that's just constantly playing under pressure and is just going to throw it up there. And like Tay said, dude is trying to get him fucking killed.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to see that this time around. We're not going, like, we didn't see that when O'Connell was starting after the firing of McDaniels and the benching of Garoppolo. Like, things are different. And I'm confident they made the right decision here. They have a guy in Minshew that has the experience. They made the right decision making him the starter at least the first quarter of the 2024-2025 season.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm willing to step up to that challenge, bro. And at the end of the day, this is a totally different defense. This is not even the honestly the shit show defense that we had in the last few years. This is one that Jesse Minter, and even from what I've been seeing from studying film and from seeing like his performances in Michigan, he's the kind that is going to instill a lot of 3-4 defense sets and all of the secondaries. And again, whether they're big time namers or they're no namers at all, don't matter. What Jesse Minter is putting together is he wants to have a defense that's capable of stuffing the run, especially when you got to keep Zeus, you got to keep Abdullah, and you even got to keep Lauby like back behind that offensive on that line of scrimmage. Because that's initially what it is. You do not want these guys to gain another yard whatsoever. You want to keep them contained because the run defense has been a problem for the Chargers. I've been seeing it for three preseason games. This Chargers defense, compared to what it has been in the last 3 years, this team in preseason was averaging 10 to 11 points per opponent, and they haven't even been rushing that efficiently against this frontline defense now. So I know it's preseason, and I know that it may not mean anything, but the fact that we have a defensive coordinator to come in 3 preseason games and change a defense than what Brandon Staley has been trying to do for 3 years is something that Charger fans have been crying out for the last few years, and we finally have it. We finally have a hard-nosed defense that is capable of mopping over that opposing offense of the haters. They're capable of mopping the opponents that they should be. And you know what? If it comes down to a point where it is close, hard-nosed football and somebody gets the clutch play to win the game, I won't be mad at that. I'll take that than over a runner with no namer that's honestly getting over 150 rushing yards on us, maybe even more. And it's like we're not executing. I would rather be taking hard-nosed defense than I would of something like that happening. But before we move on to it, I want to shout out to everybody up onto the chat, of course, including all of the Raider fans from the Black Hole, Raider Nation, everybody. You guys are definitely the best of the best. Appreciate all of you guys. I know you guys are trying to get onto my skin, but you know what? Hammer knows me. My skin is too thick. I'm too callous, bro. I can't really get into that feeling thought, bro. That ain't what we're about. Football when we do ads. We ain't about that. Shout out, of course, to our Chargers Syndicate chat as well. Shout out to Alan C coming in because he basically is speaking this one. Unless someone has broken a leg or arm, you better believe every Charger is going to be on the field so they can spank that freaking Raiders ass. And at the same time, he goes on to say, who are the Raiders going to use to cover Ladd? Nobody. Because ain't nobody got it better than us. Is exactly the kind of battle cry I'm excited to see for Jim Harbaugh.
Nation, just keep going in the chat, please. Please.
Share it out, like it out, share it out, guys. We appreciate all of you guys for being up on here. But here's the thing about what I will say about, Justin Herbert. Because with the quarterback talk, Herbert is smarter than a lot of people think. This is a kid from Eugene, Oregon that has a 4.0 biology major that understands how the human body works. So when he had plantar fascia, not plantar fasciitis, for those that are trying to understand the medical field, is the plantar fascia is only just, a little bit of an irritation on the actual pivoting foot. Because the actual ligament on the bottom of his planting foot is very thick. But it does get aggravated. But it doesn't mean that Justin Herbert is going to roll the dice, play with fire, and then potentially tear it. So luckily with the plantar fascia, he was already out of a boot so quickly. And then when I looked at a lot of his quality throws, they've been the same. It hasn't changed. To me personally, he has become the most consistent mechanical quarterback that we have in the league. Because all of his mechanics don't change. Whether he's getting bruised or broken ribs, whether he's getting a torn labrum, whether he has a plantar fascia. That dude is like a human freaking robot. So you could bring your Crosbys, you could bring your Wilkins, you could bring your Spillane, you could bring all of that and try to hurt this man. But at the end of the day, he still makes a quality throw, no matter what. And he makes the clutch throw. Because you've seen it how many times, even with that loss, seconds left, touchdown right there. We keep it a close game. Herbert's capable of doing that.
I love how everybody in here is we're still talking 63-21, 63-21. Look,
because they're all proud of beating a hockey stick.
Look,
not against Herbert.
I said my piece in terms of Herbert, and I've said it time and time again. Rivers 2.0. This dude is not, and I'm so sick of the media. Like, he is so beyond overrated. It's not even funny. He's not a top 10 quarterback. Top 15, maybe. He's not a top 10 quarterback. So people really need to stop with that shit.
I don't know, man. I mean, I look at the statistics and the numbers at the end of it, and I have been saying this, and I will die on the hill with this. But when I look at the career trajectory for a guy like Justin Herbert, there's nobody that is identical in comparison and similarities than the great Peyton Manning. Because if you honestly think about it, and this is where I'm going to end up blowing your mind on this, but the first couple of years for Peyton Manning, like, yeah, he was Rookie of the Year. He was also somebody that did not have a strong enough coach until Tony Dungy came into the building. I mean, yeah, he was able to get the weapons when it came to Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, Edgerrin James, and multiple others. But Peyton had to go through a lot of these kinds of games until there was the right man for the job. And so when Tony Dungy came in, a lot of people will tell you, yeah, the defense was not as great, but you know what? He had a lot of clutch guys on defense, from Bob Sanders, Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney. So when I look at Justin Herbert as the most consistent mechanical quarterback, the thing about him is he has more passing touchdowns than Peyton Manning in the first start of his career, less amount of picks. But the other thing is, and I know that what Justin Herbert does not have him on is obviously the coach, obviously the wins, because everybody, and I've heard it all over, when will Justin Herbert win his? When will Justin Herbert win a playoff game? When will Justin Herbert get the job done? It ain't his fault that he's got two coordinators of coaches that have let him down miserably. I know it's only 1 year with Anthony Lynn, but then when you get an idiot like Brandon Staley, who just is constantly a control freak, a guy that cannot end up adjusting to the defense, let alone try to adjust to the offense, like, you had to let that shit go. So then you bring in a quality coach in Jim Harbaugh, and this is where I do believe wholeheartedly that Harbaugh is going to unlock Justin Herbert's potential. Finally, he's going to get him to a point where he will win those games that we know that has killed us, especially the close games, for years. He will help him to basically become that quarterback that not only just distributes the football to everybody, but gets them in positions to where they win it, and the defense does the rest. So that's what I'm excited for mostly. But when I look at that, I mean, that's my comparison that I think of as far as trajectory of quarterback careers to start with. It's history repeating itself.
Do you think Harbaugh's the guy to get him over the hump?
I do.
Pretty much what you're saying. And I'm looking at a lot of people in my chat, and salute to everybody in the nation right now that are in here. Like, imagine Peyton with no Dungy. Yeah. Imagine Peyton without Dungy. Like, I just, you are really on hopium right now with this change of the guard for you guys, having Harbaugh there. Like, he's going to revitalize. He's going to get him over the hump. Like, the one thing that I can never take away from Herbert, and I said this the other night, but it was cut off, you know, whatever. Fuck Tuesday night. His numbers have always been solid.
Yeah.
but often injured. And when it matters most, he always seems to fall flat. And I don't think one person is going to be that person that changes that form. He's going to need a lot more than that. And again, look at your receiving room. Your receiving room is just a bunch of guys right now. It was the kid you guys drafted last year. The hell did he do for the Chargers last season? You got DJ Chark in free agency. He's out. Come on.
But here's the other thing that you're also disregarding. We have Josh Palmer. And Josh Palmer has been capable of stepping up into those spots when we know that we need him to. And so I expect Palmer to be that guy to take the lead. And then at the same time, we've also got a really good high-quality wide receiver that we got in the second round in Lad McConkey, which when I broke down film, this kid's got cuts. This kid's got great separation, and he's got very good route running skills. And is somebody that we were very familiarized with before we sent him out to Chicago was Keenan Allen, because he was arguably one of the best route runners that we had in the NFL. And I feel like to come in and fill in those shoes, but not be afraid to take on that competition is something that I would expect Lad McConkey to do, because I think the kid's going to be great. I think the kid's going to really show us potentially why he was a very underrated pick in the second round. And then Quinn Johnston, I know everybody uses that same thing. He can't catch. He couldn't do shit. But you know what? If Harbaugh unlocks Quinn Johnston's potential to where he's finally utilizing his hands, he's finally utilizing the yards after catch ability that he's well known for before he ended up coming into the league at TCU, then at that point it just proves Brandon Staley could not even do that. The offense could not put him in the right situation, because honestly, his play type is mostly when it comes from the slot, because the way that TCU used him was exactly what we were attracted to initially when it came to the draft, because he comes in, you distribute the ball, and when he has the ball in his hands, he's running over everybody. No, he is the hardest player to take down. So that's why I'm like, anybody that's going to step up to that matchup, whether it's Spillane or whether it's any of the corners from Hobbs and even with Epps or any of them, I mean, that's going to be a freaking train rolling at the end of the day. So, but if Harbaugh is able to do that, I mean, you got to give credit with Harbaugh where it's due, because the fact of even seeing him on the opposite side at Michigan, where TCU stunned Michigan at that game that got him into the championship. Like, he knows it and he's seen it. That's why I think, if he does this right and gets him back into the TCU, his TCU potential, then all this stuff about Quinn Johnston in his rookie year will be wiped away. I promise you, dude.
We'll see. What's everybody in the chat? Terry said, I'm sorry, comparing Manning and Herbert is insane. Not even close. Herbert plays in an offensive-friendly league. Manning played when defenses could still hit you. That is a fact. Josh Palmer is a number 2 only on most teams. Like, a lot of people, a lot of people just take it.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong with Josh Palmer being a number 2 anywhere else that he's at. I mean, not wrong for that. I mean, that was the part of when he got drafted out of Tennessee. He was initially supposed to be Mike Williams' replacement because of the length, and not to mention just his catching ability. Because I mean, watching that up in Tennessee, it was amazing. So, the run game is going to be interesting, because obviously with Greg Roman and with Jim Harbaugh, they love to play hard-nosed to where you put your head down and you bull rush that D line. So Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, and then also seeing Kaimani Vidal elevated up into that third running back room, this is going to be one that's going to be an interesting test, because it's new for everybody. And of course, on the other side for the Raiders on the D line, signing Christian Wilkins as potentially being that big time run stopper, and then adding that as a perfect duo for a guy like Maxx Crosby, I mean, that's going to be a heck of a challenge. I mean, with how Greg Roman in the past has always utilized a lot of running backs and has always tried to fight through in the trench warfare. I mean, how do you think this Raiders D line is honestly going to take on that kind of challenge?
They'll definitely be able to handle their business the right way. Finally, Maxx has somebody beside him that is a huge problem when it comes to interior offensive linemen. So I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. Me and Graf had talked about this earlier in regards to Kuntz being out. You might even see Maxx on the opposite side of his normal edge position. You might see him, and we saw it during the preseason as well, where he was on that side. But we will see how this plays out come Sunday. I think that the addition of him definitely bolsters up the defensive line tremendously. And I think that, and I've said this from the time we got him, he was a guy on my radar. It was him, it was Chris Jones, but ultimately we kind of knew Chris Jones was going to end up going back to Kansas City. But it was between Christian Wilkins and Justin Matabuki, and we got Christian Wilkins. I'm happy with it. I'm excited to see what he's going to be doing for us in silver and black.
Yeah, it like I said, it's going to be an exciting game at the end of it. I know you got to roll out and everything. What is your final thoughts and your prediction up onto this game? Because I think a lot of us, especially in Charger Syndicate and in Bolt Nation, they want to know exactly how you kind of see this. Because I know you're bringing in a lot of that haters stuff. So how do you see this going?
Pump the brakes. There's only one nation, and we're all in the chat, and we're right here. And you see the little top overlay, Raider Nation. Bolt Nation, I don't know where the fuck that came from. That needs to go down the toilet quick, fast, and hurry. A battle of the trenches. Again, for some strange reason, SoFi seems to be a place when these teams match up. It's always a low-scoring affair. I said this on Tuesday. I'm going to say it again. 24-19 Raiders.
All right. No, I like it. I know it's going to be trench warfare, but you know me, I probably would go up onto the other side, but it's going to be exciting nonetheless. All right, man. I know you got to roll. Appreciate all of you guys. If you haven't done so already, check him out for a lot of his awesome Raiders content. Check him out, Hammer's House, also on Raider Nation News Now as well, and part of the Oak Las Vegas Circle. Appreciate you for coming on by, man. Go and like, subscribe, keep up to date with everything Raiders news and everything that you need to. Appreciate you for coming on by, man, and chopping it up as usual. But go Bolts. We're definitely going to be bolting it up at home against those haters.
You say so. Nation, we'll see you guys Sunday morning, our weekly start sit-em, and then we should be on, I want to say 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific time, as we get you guys right and ready, live play-by-play. Me and Graf, you know what it is. Chargers, Raiders from SoFi. Shields up, y'all. How do I end mine normally? Continue to stay safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. COVID or not, you should always remember to wash your hands and your asses. And of course, y'all, win, lose, or tie, Raider Nation till I die. I will see you guys Sunday. Jake, we will be talking later, bro.
Indeed, man.
Later.
All right. Well, there you go.